Some breaking news here at the Wolverine.com offices. Steve Clinkscale from Kentucky has been hired onto Michigan's staff as the defensive backs coach, replacing Mo Linguist, who departed just a few days ago to Buffalo to be their head coach. Clinkscale coming in. He's flirted with some Michigan jobs in the past, but finally now about to become officially a part of the staff. Chris, you broke the news on this story, and we mentioned Steve the other day on our video talking about Mo Linguist's departure, and we said Steve Clinkscale would be the guy, and he was the top of the board guy for Michigan for a lot of reasons. They were able to bring him back here up to the state of Michigan.
Yeah, and one of the things that we mentioned on our podcast when we were talking about Linguist's departure is the one way that you can make this a non-story is by going out and getting a home run hire like Clinkscale. And guess what? They wasted no time. Another thing that it tells me, though, he signs to a 3-year deal. And that pretty much indicates that, hey, there's some security there, either for Jim Harbaugh or for the rest of the staff, that these guys are going to be around here for a while, and that he bought into that, and he understands that, hey, I'm safe here. You know, Kentucky, he had a really good thing going on there. He was a great recruiter. They loved him there. Nice city, but it's still not Michigan football. Michigan football still obviously has some juice, but this guy's a great recruiter. Will Johnson, 5-star recruit, is going to be pleased with this hire. Miles Pollard is a guy who he was tight with. You can talk about him a little bit. E.J. Holland will. That's another kid that we should keep an eye on. And then there are some guys, too, that our E.J. Holland will talk about as potential flips. Clinkscale was outstanding in the state of Michigan, so outstanding hire for Jim Harbaugh. Waste no time. The narrative shifts from why don't guys want to come here and work, even though it was a head coaching job for Linguist and it made perfect sense, to now this is a destination job still for a lot of guys.
Yeah, so that narrative is basically put to bed, and we talked about it the other day, and you still get some complaining and things like that. You look at Twitter, you look at the message boards where people are saying, well, oh, guys are just, fleeing from Michigan or whatever, but it wasn't the case. A guy like Mo Linguist wants to become a head coach at a good place like Buffalo, and then the narrative's also put to bed, like you said, with this one, because Steve Clinkscale is another guy who, Michigan really never offered before, but had been in contact with. Now he gets his offer, he comes to Michigan,
Yep.
and it proves that, like you said, there is some security there possibly with a 3-year deal as well. And, man, if you're a guy like Steve Clinkscale, and you not only talk to Jim Harbaugh, I'm sure, on your interview today, you also probably talk to Mike McDonald, I'm sure. But let's say you call up a guy who you know well in Ron Bellamy as well, or, a Mike Hart, just other guys in coaching circles who have come on this offseason and know what they're trying to build back at Michigan. And I think that helps as well. So credit to, probably everyone he talked to during this process, and a quick process as well. So hats off to Jim Harbaugh and those guys for getting their guy. And I like some of the hires they've had this offseason. Sticking with the recruiting sentiment that you were just talking about, you mentioned that, Will Johnson likes this guy, Miles Pollard from Tennessee, another Rivals 4-star guy who, this is going to keep that momentum with him, who Michigan probably leads for. And like you said, EJ has been all over that and went to see him last week. So it kind of like just keeps things intact right now. You can continue your momentum recruiting in the defensive backfield because, frankly, Mo Link was doing a great job. But on the field as well, I got some numbers for you. 2019 under Steve Clinkscale, I think his 4th season in Lexington, number 3 in the country in passing defense, 167.8 yards allowed per game. That's nothing. So number 3 in the country there. He had 2 guys go in the 3rd round before that season, 2 corners. So he was replacing guys that year and still was able to do that. And then had 2 guys picked this past season, Brandon Eakles and Kelvin Joseph, in the NFL draft. So he's producing NFL talent on the field, and like we've talked about with recruiting as well, it's obviously huge.
Yeah, and one of the things about that, Clay, is that it's not just like they're hiring a recruiting guy. They're hiring a great coach, too. One of the up-and-comers in the profession. He has some obviously he has the potential to be more than just a position coach down the road, and that's what he's looking for. And I think you're going to see that he can be a co-defensive coordinator from what we're hearing as part of the deal down the road. So all options are open for him, and he obviously sees this as a step up. I don't think they had to break the bank to get him. Terms of the deal have not yet been disclosed, but you're going to find out that they're not paying him $1 million, they're not overpaying him to come here. He really wants to be here. So again, they did everything right here. It was perfect. They went out and they identified the guy they wanted first. Jim Harbaugh did some damage control immediately when he found out that Linguist was leaving. Wished him well, as he should have. Again, another African-American coach in the coaching ranks is a great thing. And Buffalo is not some podunk job. A lot of people will say that, but it isn't. It's a good, solid MAC job and a great stepping stone for a guy who wants to be a head coach. So, but again, there were 3 or 4 guys they had identified. They put all of their efforts initially into the first guy, which is what you do. And went out and got him. You got to give him credit, tip the hat.
Definitely. And you're kind of coming into this week like, okay, Clinkscale is the top guy. If it's a hire here early in the week, it's going to be him. If it's a little later in the week, maybe one of the other names that were mentioned on your update that came out Sunday afternoon. And then past that, you don't really want to go past that. You want to keep recruiting. You don't want to allow, other schools time to talk to your guys. Even a Will Johnson has probably fielded a couple calls over the last couple days. Now he's probably already fielded a call from Steve Clinkscale, even though the news here and is just breaking, and he obviously just accepted the job. Let's talk about what Clinkscale has to do here over the next couple months, because now he's stepping in a weird timing to get things back on track in Michigan's defensive backfield. The last time they were on the field, it wasn't very good. Real quick, though, Chris, Manscaped is our great partner here at thewolverine.com, and we have an offer for our viewers. 20GO BLUE is the promo code at manscaped.com to get 20% off, 20GOBLUE. And they recently sent us the 2021 Lawnmower 3.0 package for free to test it out and try to give people a little bit of a sneak peek on what they can get with Manscaped here. What are your thoughts so far?
No, amazing, great product, and we wouldn't sponsor it if we didn't think so. Let's put it that way. So it's been everything advertised, man. So fantastic, and we're happy to have him on board.
No question. So now Steve Clinkscale comes in. He's got a few months here before fall camp. Obviously, I think the first thing is these kids are off campus right now, probably for about a month. The semester ended last week. You get on a Zoom call with your position group. You get on some phone calls. You build some relationships, and we talked about this on our last video, but he has relationships with some of these guys because he recruits very similarly. He recruits for an SEC school that has some deep ties here in the Midwest. Like Clinkscale coached at Cincinnati. He's an Ohio native. He understands Michigan. He understands Ohio. I think that's going to be big as well in recruiting. But you start connecting with these guys or reconnecting with some that you already knew. Then you get to work, right, with Mike McDonald and the rest of the defensive staff and figure out what the vision is here and what you want to do. What are your thoughts on his road ahead here? It's going to be a busy few months. Well, maybe the rest of us around, the world are, taking a week off here, a week off there. He's got to get to work right away.
He's going to have to learn the defense, number one, and I'm sure he'll be spending a lot of time with Ron Bellamy, with whom he'll be working in the secondary. Sounds like he's going to have a hand in the pass defense, a big hand in the pass defense and the play calling there. So, but he has got to. What he's got to do, first of all, is build relationships with the kids who had spent months building relationships with Maurice Linguist and who have had a few coaches now, and they're probably like, man, this is crazy. But the right guy here with a long-term deal, and that's Clinkscale, obviously, like we said, is going to be able to bridge that. And I think he's going to do a good job with it. So everything we've heard, he's a great, personable guy. Just perusing the Kentucky boards and talking with the Kentucky insiders this week, they loved him. Said the kids love him. He is an absolute home run hire. There's no other way to put it. And that's exactly what needed to happen. You can call it damage control. I call it just going out and getting the right guy and, to replace a guy that got another opportunity. And I think that's the fair way to put it. Now, if they had gone and the other route and maybe gotten a guy from the NFL, there were a few guys on the list, then you say, okay, geez, is this going to work? But no doubt in my mind, they got the guy they wanted. They got the right guy. Just a great hire for Michigan.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned the term damage control. It wasn't necessarily self-inflicted damage. It's almost bad luck more than anything. And now you come in and get a guy who is probably going to be as seamless of a transition as you can get. And you mentioned Kentucky guys. Justin Rowland from our Kentucky rival site tweets out just after the news that this is a huge loss for Kentucky. So obviously he was doing great things there. We mentioned some of the numbers with getting guys to the NFL. He's a top 10 recruiter by Rivals.com as well. So you can't say enough good things about him, and he's still growing as well. And this is a young staff that now is going to try to, really give a burst of energy to this program here over the next few years and see what happens. Any
Yeah,
final
without
thoughts on
question.
Steve Clinkscale here?
No, without question. Everything that's needed to be said has been said, and we wish him well. And he'll be moving up to Ann Arbor probably in the summer at least. So that's a good thing. Hopefully, he finds a nice home here, and he finds Ann Arbor to his liking.
Yep, and he's a Midwest guy, like we said. He knows what it's
Absolutely.
like up here, in the winter and
Yep.
things like that. But Ann Arbor's a different animal, maybe than a Cincinnati. But yeah, certainly wish Steve Clinkscale well, and follow along at thewolverine.com for full coverage of this new addition to the coaching staff. The promo code is Blue60 for 2 months of our premium content for free. You can talk about it with thousands of fans on our message board, and we'll see you over there.